Welcome to another episode of Partners in Prevention. My name is Lyn Frano and I'm your host. I'm chairperson of the Braintree Community Partnership. So mental health is an incredibly important part of our overall health. And with the growing number of young people and adults experiencing depression, anxiety, and other mental health systems, there is a need really to expand our mental health system and to improve our nation's mental health care system in general. Improving the nation's mental health care system may sound really overwhelming to you, and undoubtedly it feels like a monumental task, because it does to me. So today, we're going to focus on what we can do on a smaller scale to make a difference in our local mental health care system. So joining me today are 3 members of the advisory board to the Department of Mental Health Quincy Area Office. The Quincy Area Office provides services to people in 10 communities on the South Shore, including the town of Braintree. So we're so lucky to be part of that catchment area. So at the request of, actually I believe it was you, Jeannie, who went to see Mayor Sullivan and talked about the need to have new members on this committee. Mayor Sullivan reached out to me and he asked me if I would consider being advisory board member, and that was about approximately 3 years ago. So Mayor Sullivan and I discussed it, and we recognized the importance of really raising awareness about the role that mental health has on our overall well-being, and the need to advocate for policies and programs that support individuals and families that are experiencing mental illness in our communities. So I'm really happy to say I've been a member of this group for 3 years, and I thought we are looking for new members, so I thought I would bring some of our board members with here today. So let's start with some introductions. I'm going to start to my right with you, Jeannie.
Hi, thank you, Lyn. My name is Jeannie Giangrande. I'm a nurse, and I'm the chairman of the Quincy Area Department of Mental Health Citizens Advisory Board. And I'm also a member of the Southeast Regional Board that includes a larger catchment area, including Brockton, Plymouth, and Fall River, and Taunton.
Bryan?
I am Bryan Hallock. I am a member of the advisory board with lived experience. I am involved in 2 recovery centers. The first is Anchored in Recovery in Framingham, where I co-facilitate a meeting every Friday morning. The second recovery center I am involved in is Turning Point Recovery Center in Walpole.
Thank you, Bryan. Sue?
My name is Sue McGinnis, and I have been a member of the Quincy board for more than 46 years.
46 years. That's awesome, Sue. So thank you. So Jeannie, I think we'll start with you because you are, after all, chairperson of the advisory board. So please tell us more about the advisory board and the important things a potential member would need to know.
So as you mentioned earlier, the Department of Mental Health Local Area Office located in Quincy. The Quincy office provides services to people in the city of Quincy, towns of Braintree, Milton, Randolph, Weymouth, Hingham, Hull, in Norwell, Situate, and Cohasset. We are seeking residents of Braintree and the other 9 communities to join the advisory board. We welcome individuals with fresh ideas and perspectives and a desire to improve local mental health services, which is so needed today. But most importantly, we invite anyone currently receiving services from the Department of Mental Health, including those 60 years and older, to join us. Additionally, we welcome family members and guardians of children under the age of 19 who are currently receiving services from the Department of Mental Health. And there's always room for anyone interested in advocating for the high quality of local mental health.
Great. So that's awesome, Jeannie. I guess I need to hear from you, like, what are the responsibilities that are associated with being advisory board member? What does membership involve?
So the advisory board members meet one Thursday a month, approximately an hour, at the Quincy Mental Health Center located on 460 Quincy Avenue, and assists the department to identify gaps in the services and delivery systems, to review plans, budgets, and policies related to the Quincy area office. Members collaborate with people receiving services from the Department of Mental Health and their families, as well as services providers and other public agencies, with community education programs, which is so important today.
So you work with other agencies and people
Yes.
To provide some education in the community.
Exactly,
Awesome.
exactly. We also work with state legislators, issues that relate to mental health, policies, programs, and budgets.
Oh, great. So you work with maybe Senator Timilty and
Absolutely.
Senator Keenan.
Keenan, and also at the state level, other senators from the state.
That are also advocates for
Absolutely.
mental health. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So Jeannie, can you tell us a little bit more about the duties of board members? Like what
Sure.
what are the duties?
Sure. The first and foremost of our main duty is to represent the citizens of Quincy and the town served in the Quincy area. Members advise the site directors and for the local needs of resources and other matters of concern. Members also participate in reviews of the area and the actual annual budget, and participate in site contract reviews. And we ensure the agencies contracted to provide residential and other community services are meeting the quality standards that are expected.
So it sounds like so the Department of Mental Health contracts with other agencies to provide services to people, either residential services or some kind of day services,
Right.
and so it's the advisory board helps to review some of those proposals and budgets and those kinds of things,
Right.
and that's really important because that sounds like it could be a
Right.
monumental task.
That's
So
right.
that's why it's important to have a lot of members with some experience and knowledge that can help
Monitoring
look at those.
is very important.
Monitoring is important. Thank you, Jeannie. So thank you for sharing all of that with us. I'm going to move on to you next, Bryan. During your introductions, you identified yourself as someone with lived experience. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, a person with lived experience is someone with firsthand experience with mental health issues and substance abuse challenges. There are advisory board members who have experience working with people with mental health and substance use conditions. They may not necessarily live with those challenges like I have.
So that's really important. So, but can you tell us why that's important from your point of view to have persons with lived experience to be members of the advisory board?
People with lived experience understand the problems and challenges within the mental health system. As an advisory board member, with lived experience, I have a voice and the ability to advocate for improvements that will better meet the needs of people served in local mental health businesses.
So you have a voice, you have experience, and it's really important that that everyone has a voice that's in the service delivery system. Thank you, Bryan. That makes me think of, like, you know, there is a saying out there, I don't know if anyone's ever heard it, but it's like, nothing about us without us. And that what that really refers to is that that nothing should be decided without participation from the people that are going to be affected by those decisions. So I agree with you, Bryan. I think it's really important that we have people with lived experience on the board. So Bryan, you also mentioned that you are involved with the Anchors and Recovery Center in Framingham and the Turning Point, I believe you said, the Turning Point Recovery Center in Walpole. Can you please tell us a little bit more about your role there?
Yes, these centers offer a variety of pathways to recovery, including Alcoholics Anonymous and Smart Recovery. Anchored in Recovery offers Wellbriety in recovery boxing. Turning Point offers discussion meetings, support meetings, sports activities, and sober activities. The centers give opportunities for people with lived experience like myself to receive training and support of people struggling with substance abuse. I also volunteered in a local program run by Aspire Mental Health called Peer to Peer. At Peer to Peer, I facilitated a men's group, a 12-step AA 12-step group, and a group called Exploring Mental Illness. These centers also provide recovery coaches, recovery coaches, and people with
recovery coaches are people with lived experience?
With people with lived experience with substance abuse disorders, work to keep people sober.
So they work to keep it. So the recovery coaches work to keep people sober. So that's awesome, Bryan. So it sounds like that your experience with these centers has provided you with greater knowledge and understanding of the needs of people, of the challenges and the needs of people with mental health issues and substance use disorders.
Absolutely. That is why I am a member of the DMH Advisory Board. My voice is important. However, my voice is more representative of the challenges faced by older adults who still need ongoing support. So I am here today to ask our younger viewers with lived experience to consider joining the advisory board. We need to hear from you. Your voices are just as important as mine.
Well said, Bryan. I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much for sharing with us. So yeah, if you're a young person with lived experience, we would love to have you as a member of the board. So Sue, we're going to move on to you next. I'm just so happy that you're with us today. You're, like we mentioned earlier, you're the longest standing member of the area board with over 46 years experience working on the advisory board. So I'm sure that you've seen a tremendous amount of growth in the mental health service delivery system.
I certainly have. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak here about being a member of the board and to share some of the things the board has accomplished during my tenure, and also mention how far we have come with the care of people living with mental health issues. I am so proud that Bryan has become my good friend. I enjoy his friendship immensely. And we have worked hard over the years to become supportive. What has helped me more than anything on the board is having people such as Bryan be willing to come and share their lived experience. And knowing folks like Bryan has certainly made me a better person. I have so many experiences in my past, but one that stands out is back in the 70s, someone on our board heard that if Governor King did not sign off on the bill, we would not be having Quincy Mental Health Center built. Members of the board jumped on a train, went into Boston to the governor's office, and he signed off on the bill one day before it was to expire.
Wow.
We are, part of our work as board members is to keep our legislators informed of what's going on with people with mental health issues. Please do not believe that you don't have something to contribute. Everyone has something to contribute to the board. You will only find that out by attending our meetings. We would love to have you join us.
Excellent. And Sue, so it sounds like you did a lot of grassroots work in the early days.
Yes, we did. We, as board representatives, when people were beginning to be moved to the community for residential living, we visited or appeared at town meetings to try to convince the community that this was perfectly safe and that these people had been trained to live outside of a closed unit in a hospital.
So like someplace like Medfield State Hospital.
Yes.
Yes. So there was a movement back in the 70s to get people that were in locked units at Medfield State Hospital out into the local communities.
Yes. And the other thing that we constantly battle is called stigma. While it still exists, it was so much worse those 40 years ago. Much, much worse. And we took it upon ourselves to go into our communities and do everything possible to educate people. Please do not believe that you don't have something to contribute. Everyone does.
Everyone does. Thank you so much, Sue. I know that when we talked last week during the area board meeting on Thursday, you talked about how when you first started, how important it was to listen. You may not have something to contribute right away, but
Right.
to sit there and to listen. And I know that you said that, over the years, that you've learned so much from listening to the area director, from listening to people with lived experience such as Bryan. You've really learned about the system and about what the challenges are and the needs of people with mental health challenges, and that's and you've become such a strong advocate as a result of that listening. So initially, people that might be interested in joining the board, I think it's really important to know that you don't have to come in there like gangbusters and think you know everything right away. Good listening skills is key to this, and over time you'll become just as skilled as Jean, Bryan, and Sue. So before we end today, I just wanted to, I really, again, can't thank you enough for joining us today. I do want to just throw out one more. Is there anything anybody else would like to add before we break?
I would like to thank you, Lynn, for this opportunity to give the voice of us to the people, to become an advocate for the Department of Mental Health and for mental health illness for today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Jean. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all that you've done. I've learned so much from each and every one of you, and especially and a lot from our area director, Laura Ruscio. So, Bryan, do you have something you'd like to share?
Yeah, I'd like to say that all voices are very important, lived experience or not. The collective voices can move politics, policies to a better place.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That's a very good point. And we are so lucky here. And I know I feel very fortunate in Braintree. We work with Senator Keenan, who was, I know at one point was chairperson of the Substance Use and Mental Health subcommittee at the Senate. And I know Walter Timilty has done a great deal. And they also have provided the Braintree Community Partnership with funding for some of the programs and activities that we as the partnership provide. So, and I also want to thank BCAM again for having us here today. They've been very helpful in spreading the word. So if you're interested in joining, there'll be some information up on the screen after we finish. And I just want to say thank you again for joining us on another episode of Partners in Prevention. I hope you'll consider being a member of the Department of Mental Health Advisory Board. And thank you and have a great day. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching our program today about the Department of Mental Health Quincy Area Citizen Advisory Board. Board members advise the department in addressing needed resources and gaps in the service delivery system so people with mental health conditions can live, work, and participate in their communities. The Department of Mental Health Quincy office provides services to people in 10 South Shore communities, including the town of Braintree. We invite anyone currently receiving services from the Department of Mental Health, including those ages 60 years and older, to join the board. We also encourage family members or guardians of children under the age of 19 who are receiving services to contact us. Mental health is an extremely important part of our overall health. If you have the desire to advocate for high-quality local mental health programs and services and want to make a difference in the lives of others in your community, please contact Kim Anderson by phone at 508-897-2117 or email Kim at kimberly.anderson@state.ma.us. Thank you.